Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com, here with the Shredder, a Templar PvP build meant for group play. If you like upfront, close and personal, puncturing sweeps, ripping through targets, providing off heals and support, this build is for you. No, this isn't a solo YOLO build. This is just meant for group play, being in a leadership position, especially charging into the battle. So in this video, I'm going to cover skills, gear, and in the back end of the video, I'm going to show a really good and tough fight that we make it through and exactly how to do it. Stay tuned. Shredder, ESO 2.0. Well, gang, it's time to update Bubble Trouble into the Shredder PvP build. The idea behind this is kind of a up close and personal, PvP build that gets tanky and also provides a lot of support. So for my character, I chose a Dunmer. Yep, Dark Elf. Dark Elf has some superior passives made for PvP. If you go into the racials and you look at flame resist, eventually I plan to go vampire with this guy, but 1300 flame resist really adds up. It also does a lot of flame damage, which ironically Templars do a lot of, and of course magic and stamina. This is one of the best racial choice and I really like it. I'm also using the Atronach Mundus Stone, and I am a werewolf right now. Combat stamina regeneration, 15%, no downside for the time being, and I want tons and tons of magic recovery. At level 44, I'm rocking 1400 magic recovery. Now, people are always going to ask about attribute points. Don't worry too much about these, because attribute points do not matter in Cyrodiil below veteran rank 1. If you look in your battle scale, if you put 1 point in, it's not going to matter. So put these whatever you want, does not matter. But with that being said, I do have some cool food, drinks, and everything, and I want to talk about the skills first, what makes this build shine. So the number one skill that I use as an opener is Shield Assault. Why Shield Assault? Most people use Invasion, but in PvP, almost everyone knows to break CC the first second they get hit with a Shield Assault. So for at least now, if I miss or charge in, they break CC, basically canceling out that 4-second invasion, at least I have a nice damage absorbing effect on my bar. So let me show you what this is. This is usually my opener. So I'm going to go in. You want to charge at max distance. So watch that number 1 key and it lights up there. See? Doesn't light up. Boom. Charge in. The next ability I use is puncturing sweeps. Yep, that's why I call it the Shredder. So there's a key thing to this rotation is as soon as you charge in, light attack first. That way you start generating ultimate. If you don't, you're going to go into your normal rotation and not generate ultimate. So every second or every 8 charges, you really need to, boom, charge, light attack. That bubble around me is that damage protection shield that I was talking about. No, it's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. So I really like that damage Shield Assault morph that I've been taking. You can also pump that up with some champion points if you'd like. Okay, so we got that ability. Obviously you saw puncturing sweeps. What this is from the Adric Spear Streamline. It's the morph, the magic-based morph. It does damage in front of me. It's an AoE and basically 8 meters in front of me. It also knocks back enemies, so it's basically a stun, a heal, and AoE damage. It's awesome. So what puncturing sweeps is good at is doing damage right in front of you. What it's not good at is damage all over the place. Also, it is a channel. So if you do puncturing sweeps and you get broke, CC and something like that, it's not going to complete the full rotation and do the max amount of damage. But if it does, it's going to be awesome. So when you're doing puncturing sweeps, try to position yourself to the left or right. So as soon as you charge in, light attack, now position, get their back, then puncturing sweeps. Stay on them, puncturing sweeps. So always watch your position. Remember, it's only in front of you. So if someone's on the side, try to position yourself so you get both enemies, just like that. My main ability that I use for protection is Blazing Shield, the very last ability in Adric Spear. How did I get Adric Spear to 45 at level 44? I basically put all these abilities on my bar while leveling up so I could get Blazing Shield. It's really that important. It basically surrounds yourself with a shield equivalent to 30% of your max health, and it's actually increased if more enemies are around you. And then it takes damage and reflects it back on enemies. So if I do a Blazing Shield right here, you see my health bar, it lights up a little bit, a little purple glow. But if I wait till there's multiple enemies around, then do it. Watch how it changes. It actually went much bigger, see? I'm still at 98% health. They have to get through my blazing spear, or my blazing shield to do any damage to me. They're literally level 47 mobs killing themselves. That's why Adric's spear and blazing shield is so important. Now you saw that big green glow. What is that? Another one of my favorite abilities in the game, Repentance. Basically, this is a free self-heal that uses corpses to give back you health and allies and stamina. So each corpse gives you back tons and tons of resources. Also, while passively slotted, it gives you health, stamina, and magic regeneration by 10%. This is a game changer. So if you're killing enemies, you're going to keep on going through the fight with stamina and health. This does not have an AoE cap, so if you are around 20 members and you hit Repentance, bang, it's going to 20 members. Now, the last defensive ability that I use is Defensive Stance from Sword and Board. You've probably seen this on a lot of different builds. I absolutely love it. I went with the Zorb passively in the past, but I really like that the Reflect is all damage based. So everything I'm doing pretty much is defending while also doing damage. I have 2 CCs, a Stamina CC and then a Magic CC. I have 2 Absorbs, a Blazing Shield magic based one and a Stamina based Reflect on spells. So no matter how you come at me, I'm going to be able to use both of my resources in order to defend myself. Also, Repentance is going to be there for when you die, taking your corpses, helping my enemies charge on. Keep calm, charge on. Isn't that a hipster saying? Okay. Last ability up, Solar Prism. The massive Gravity Crush damage dealing ultimate, also reducing opponents' damage as well. I really like this because the extra reduction damage really comes in handy for a massive keep or AoE battle. It's also in the area, so don't just place it in open fields if you don't expect enemies to come there. You really need to wait till they're charge you. That's why I charge in, then drop my Nova on the enemies. Also, there's a huge synergy called Gravity Crush, but you have to be right on what I call the grapefruit in order to use it. So for instance, if I drop Nova here, in order to use this synergy, some person has to stand right on top of it and hit that synergy button. That's going to stun everyone in the area. So if you drop this, stun them, and then go into a puncturing sweeps, people are going to die. So how I use this is basically I'm going to buff up defensive postures before I YOLO in. I'm going to jump in, light attack, puncturing sweeps, then blazing shield. Puncturing sweeps. Look how I position myself so I'm hitting everyone. Now they're attacking me after they're stunned. Blazing shield. Blazing shield goes down. Keep it up. 2 corpses. Repentance. You're not getting through this defense. You're just not. It's really, really powerful. And that's the Sword and Shield bar. Off to Restoration Staff. You can use 1 or 2 things. Restoration Staff or Destruction Staff. I find Restoration Staff really, really handy because of the passives, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Ultimately, the number 1 spot, Dark Flare, is good because it's basically healing reduction, which is very, very important in lobby PvP because there's not a whole lot. So if you want to stop players like me from just infinitely healing, you have to debuff their healing. If you didn't want this, you could go something a little bit more group-oriented, maybe Mutagen, Healing Springs for AoE healing. You can also use a Destruction Staff if you really wanted to. Maybe Impulse, Elemental Blockade, Destructive Reach, something like that. Consider this your flex spot. The reason I use Restoration Staff is the passive here. Cycle of Life. Restores an additional 15% magicka when you complete a heavy. Getting 2 points in that means 1 heavy, I'm almost at full magic. 2 heavies, I'm definitely going to be at full magic. So that's why I use a Restoration Staff, because I'm using 5 light, 2 medium. So I need every little ounce of magic I can get. Next ability up is Purifying Ritual. So Purifying Ritual places something down and basically allows you to get rid of harmful effects like fire damage from ballista. Really, really important. So the thing is, I generally use Purge as the primary way to remove negative effects because it is better. It doesn't require allies to use synergies. But look at the cost. 4,500 magic. Look at this cost. 1,600. So basically I use this as a self-purge. It also heals allies in the area, so it's not bad group utility ability. But realistically, this is a better purge. But the magic cost is too high for me at this level. Next ability up, Rapid Maneuvers. Yep, I use it all the time. Increased speed and also grants immunity, snares, and immobilizes. It ends when you attack, so make sure that you do not attack when you use this. Call it out in TeamSpeak. As the group leader, I almost consider this a must ability. I just have it all the time. If you're not a leader, swap this out for something else. More utility, more damage, anything. Some also good alternatives here are Entropy to get your major spell damage buff. And then an interesting one, Reflective Light, to get your spell critical. So those are two things you could swap out right here, Dark Flare and Retreating Maneuvers. Maybe if you're not a healer, or if you're a solo player, drop this Purifying Ritual and put something else there. Next ability, Blazing Spear. AoE damage, has a synergy, and it's a range stun. Need I say any more? It is utterly amazing, low cost, and it lasts 6 seconds. This is huge for group play. Huge, 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 huge. I love this ability. The synergies and keeping people's stamina up, especially Dragon Knights, YOLOing in the front, is going to make your team much, much better. Highly recommend any Templar using this. Last ability up, Breath of Life. Your major, big heal. It heals one person and 2 others. So if someone's low, pop this and they're going to zoom back up to health. You're also going to get a benefit of healing people with lower health. Remember, the lower the health there are, the bigger benefits you're going to get. So don't pop Breath of Life if they're 75% health. Wait till they're low and pop Breath of Life for a much bigger heal. My ultimate I use is Remembrance. Basically what Remembrance is good for is an oh crap, low cost ultimate that just heals everyone. It also reduces damage to allies in target area. So it's kind of like Nova, except it doesn't reduce the enemy's damage, it reduces allies' damage. You can't move, you can't do anything, but you also can't be CC'd during this as well. So it's like one of those oh crap 4 seconds. With all my Magicka recovery, I'm going to get 3,000 Magicka back by the time this thing's done. Guess what? That's at least 1 Breath of Life. So it's your oh crap, oh my god, I gotta live for 4 more seconds, the team's about to die. Doesn't cost any magic, your magic's back up, boom, back to Breath of Life. So that's kind of how this works. So let me show you, basically the damage rotation I use is Dark Flare for my 20% more damage into a Blazing Shield, or Blazing Spear. That got one guy stunned, another Dark Flare. This guy's on me, stun him with Blazing, dead. That simple. Remember to zap them corpses. Stamina magic. If I need to purge, I just put this thing here. If I need to sprint, I do a retreating maneuvers. So let me show you the ultimate here. And that's Breath of Life, the animation. So be careful with Breath of Life. The animation sometimes gets a little tricky. And you need to be timing your Breath of Life very appropriately. Alright. Also, Breath of Life does cost a lot of magic, so don't always spam it. Speaking of spamming Breath of Life, let's do a little experiment here. If I use Breath of Life till I'm out of magic, that's a lot of breaths. Look at that. Warlock proc, we'll get to that. So, I'm out of magic, everyone's about to die. Boom, Remembrance. Look how much magic I have. Now I can do 1, 2, 3 more Breath of Lives. That's how you survive forever with this build. Okay, talking about passives. Templar has some really awesome passives, specifically, and there's some important armor passives that I really want you to get to optimize this build. So top to bottom in the Adric Spear, what I consider the best passive here is this. Burning Light. Gives you a 25% chance to cause extra damage anytime you hit someone with your Adric Spear. So it uses spell damage or weapon damage, whatever is the highest. That's good for us. So anytime you use these abilities, and yes, Puncturing Sweep, yes, Blazing Spear, you might do a little extra burning damage. Love, love that. Weapon damage, spell resistance, that's good if you can have it. Also, this blocking stuff helps, but I really like the Burning Light. Dawn's Wrath. This Prism is awesome. Activating Dawn's Wrath ability grants you 3 ultimate every 6 seconds. This ability goes really, really well with Reflective Light. Reflective Light only lasts about 6 seconds. So every time you activate this to get your spell critical, guess what? You're getting increased ultimate regeneration. So highly recommend those two as a combo if you don't want to use Dark Flare. If you do want to use Dark Flare, guess what? The healing debuff only lasts 7.2 seconds. So there you go. There's a benefit for using that. Really recommend that. There's some other ones here. I haven't got this yet, but this is an obvious choice. And once I get Radiant Destruction, you know what's going to happen. 2 beams. Mending is the most important in my opinion for the healing part, so that way you heal more the lower they get. The other ones are really nice, but I love Master Ritualist. Faster res and they come back on full health. Huge important for Templars. Into the weapon and skill trees, Fortress must have, reducing block cost, and then sword and board, the amount of damage you can block. These are really important. Haven't got battlefield mobility yet, but that's a really important one as well. The faster you can move in PvP, the better. The really big one that I like here in Restoration Staff is the Cycle of Life. That's the most important. That's what gives me so much magic back and why I do heavy attacks all the time. And for light armor, the two that are most important is Evocation for regeneration and reduce cost, and then magic regeneration. Gotta have those both. For medium armor, Windwalker, that comes in just one. So you really only need to use Windwalker, but I do invest in the rest of these. Sneak cost is actually pretty good. Even with 2 pieces of medium, we do get a pretty big benefit. Eventually I'm going to get Athletics, which is reduced dodge rolling cost. So that's an awesome benefit once you get that unlocked. Moving right along. Fighters Guild. There's some benefits of using Banish and Slayer because some players do, choose Vampire or they go in Werewolf form, though I don't know why, but use those. Mages Guild, take them all if you're going to use the Entropy thing or Mage Light or even Volcanic Ruin. Don't have any Undaunted yet, and then need a support. The obvious one here is Continuous Attack. This is awesome after taking a resource. Highly recommend getting this. In the support tree, you can take Magical Aid if you have Purge slot on your bar, but you really don't need it unless you use it. Racials. The obvious choice here, Dunmer. Love it. Some other good races that go well with this build. High Elf. You could even be a Breton for reduced magic cost if you wanted to do more magic. If you wanted to be mainly PvE, DPS focused, do that. Or also Imperial if you wanted to be more tanky. Those are some good options. Eventually, I do want to get the medicinal use unlocked so that potions last longer. I will show you why now. The gear that I'm using is similar to some of my other builds and the Arena Warlock setup. So I like the Warlock setup for that magic proc. Believe it or not, 2400 magic is actually a huge amount, even in lobby. In lobby PvP, it's great. You know what my Breath of Life costs? 2600. This is one extra Breath of Life. So once per minute, gonna get that flood of magic that will make or break your team. Next up is the Jacket of Arena that I go with Magic, Mundastone, Atronach, because I want more magic. So I really like this. This is Dwemer. I like the style of it, though it doesn't really matter for your performance. The reason why is I'm only using 2 pieces of medium, and so if I'm constantly up front getting CC'd, I'm always breaking break free. That takes a huge amount of my stamina away. So as long as things are dying, I'm using Repentance, great. But if I don't have this, I'm constantly running out of stamina and I'm vulnerable. So I'm thinking an Arena set is a must. If you don't have access to Arena, you're going to have to just play a little bit differently or go with more medium armor to pull this off. Maybe 5-piece medium with Seducers. I don't know, it would be tricky. But you got to make sure you have enough stamina. So those are the 2 5-pieces that I wear, and it comes from the Warlock here. I also am going to re-enchant these with reduced cost of magic, because believe it or not, that adds up too. I had reduced cooldown and potions because I was using on my Nightblade, but I really recommend reduce cost, reduce magic cost. The 2-piece on my sword, I use Sharpened, so that way I can get a little more damage with Torg's Pact. You can do almost anything here, but I like the extra spell damage because that's where most of my damage comes. It's really a pretty simple setup that I usually constantly run. Most of this gear is pretty cheap. You can get your Warlock set really easy just leveling up. The Arena, somewhat hard to come by, so maybe mix in a little bit more medium armor. The consumables that I use, my drinks here, this gives me so much recovery. Even at level 40, it is a major deal. You also can use Potions of Spell Power. Now I have these at level 30, and they may seem like a waste, but they're actually pretty good. The reason why is they give you those 2 important buffs if you're not using the 2 buffs on your bar, like entropy and reflective light, this is an easy way around it. Now, 20 seconds, if you have that alchemy passive, it's going to last 30 seconds roughly, and reduce spell costs. Guess what? We can constantly use it. It's an expensive way to PvP and play, but it frees up 2 abilities on your bar. So, if you like that, use that. But it is expensive. There's some other tricky little cool things that I use, like this Potion of Immovability. So sometimes there's an enemy sieging our back line. What I'll do is I'll sneak in there with this. So let's say on the top of the hill there's someone sieging and killing us. Pop that potion. As long as I don't attack, I can move in, infiltrate, take out that siege guy or gal. And so that's why I use that. Highly recommend alchemy to get these lasting a little bit longer. It's expensive. I have a video on it. It takes time, but it's worth it in the long run. So think about using that. And that's really the skills and gear. But I want to talk about something else real quick, and that's champion system. Yes, I'm level 44, but I do still have champion points. And a lot of people wonder, how do I spec my champion points for these builds? So let me show you. All right, we're in the champion tree here, and I have about 150 champion points. That's quite a bit already. And I want to tell you the most important ones. Whether you have 0 or 3,000, I don't care. Some of these are really, really important. So most builds have one job. This is kind of a hybrid tank / damage dealer, so it's a little bit harder to spec into champion points. The really important one that I like is the 30-point Synergizer. 2 ultimates anytime you activate a synergy. Why is that important? Well, we're always in the front. We're using purifies. We're using synergies left and right. And so constantly just smashing that synergy key for resources and ultimate is the way to go. So how I get there is I take a little bit recovery and stamina and a whole lot of magic recovery. You also could put some points into here, tenacity, to get more out of your heavy attacks. That's good as well. But these two are game changers for me. So I go 30 points to get that passive. I go in here and do about 15. So reduce magic cost and then reduce stamina cost. This applies to dodge rolls, so I really, really like that. Also, my invasion or shield assault charging in, it applies to that. That's great. Also, chance to reduce an enemy's movement speed next time you hit them after a bash. I do bash people using crystal frag sometime. Not the best passive, but it's worth getting. Then, after I get a few points into that, I come over here into tumbling. Reduces stamina of roll dodge and break free. So with my 40-piece gear, 2% here, it's really, really valuable. If I wanted to go more dark flare spamming, I'd go with Devile here. And that way I could reduce their healing significantly. And that's what I use for the thief tree. This one's a little bit more tricky. You want to go pretty much spread it out here. So you have spell critical, increases that damage of that. Increases your flame frost. This is where you dump a lot of points into if you want to do just pure damage. And then spell resistance, a lot of people use Nirnhone gear, so you're going to have to pump this up. And then also blessed, so the healing that I do. So, if you're not a hybrid, you just dump points into here. But if you're hybrid, spend them around here. You really want to get that 30-point spell critical. Moving on, I do put some points into here. It's like 3 points, and it makes those heavy attacks hit a little bit harder. And surprisingly not, if you use a full heavy attack with a destruction staff, you can hit for 5k. I mean, that's a decent amount of damage, so it's worth a couple points. Moving on, Thermagurge, or whatever that's called. This is where most of my damage comes from, so you actually want to put a lot of points into here. Okay, moving on. Block Expert. Love Block Expert because it reduces the blocking cost. Combine that with reduced block break free. I'm really, really low on stamina, basically taking a hold of my build. So I can use a lot of light armor and still get away with being tanky by using passives for blocking. And then here I spread it all out. So you want to get Spell Absorption at level 10, probably the best level 10 ability in the game. And then if you get 30, this is pretty good too. But spread it out from Hardy, Elemental Defender, and Thick Skinned. So Thick Skin doesn't need as many points, but it's still worth using. And back over here, Quick Recovery. Increases the effectiveness of healing receive. That, going with Repentance, is a awesome game changer. You can also put a couple points in here if you're using a lot of potions, and even the Bastion to increase the old Blazing Shield. So I need to respec these and experiment with Bastion a little bit more, but I think this is the way to go. That Field Physician is very important. Reduce damage while resurrecting. As a Templar, you make or break by resurrecting the team. So channeling this a resurrection, and getting this passive makes a big difference whether you get nuked while rezzing or not. And that's my champion system points. So let's show you a fight, and this is an awesome open field fight where we charge in, and I'm doing a little bit more healing since we were low on healers. So basically I'm leading in the front here, using charging, rapid maneuvers, and then I'm waiting to get my magic up and have everyone heal to full. Also, I'm looking for where that siege is, where the siege is, the enemy, is so I can charge in and neutralize it. I get my buffs up, and then I go in for a little bit, waiting for them to start attacking me. I'm hitting Remembrance at a key choke point so not everyone dies, reducing that major damage. Getting some hots rolling here since we were low on healers, and then waiting for the opportune time to strike. Once we push up, we kind of routed them out of the area. We had a negate on the crown. Now it's game taming time. We got 4 or 5 of them down. Charge in, heavy attack, blazing spear, and I'm just surviving here. I do have Purify on my bar for this because I was going pretty much full defensive. So really the only damage I'm doing back to people is through blazing spear, charging my heavy attacks to constantly keep magic up, and we're just pushing them. Once we get around the rock here, I do a couple of heavy attacks to constantly keep my magic up. Look at it, I'm almost at full with 0 stamina taken. So that's why I can use rapid maneuvers all the time. Once they start focusing me, I go Blazing Spear spam for AoE damage and Blazing Shield for protection. And then I use Defensive Stance if I'm getting damaged by magic-based range DPS. And that's basically it. You're constantly switching bars, providing off heal and support for whatever is needed. It's easy and it's flexible. And once you get in there in the front, constantly keeping your Blazing Shield up and Defensive Stance. So right now my Defensive Stance is down. I need a CC break, get it back up, and then constantly heavy attack so I'm always have full magic. See, I have a corpse there. Boom. Corpses are dead. Perfect for my team. And that's a little fight where we are heavily outnumbered, but it worked. So I hope you guys like this video. This is the Shredder PvP build. And if you're a Templar and like up in the front fight, don't listen to people. You can do it as a Templar. Templars aren't just healers. They're awesome, awesome PvP. Thank you so much. Feel free to subscribe and leave me a comment.